Welcome to another special bonus edition of the Paul Ryder tapes. I'm Angela Smith, I'm Paul's ex-wife, and we sat down together in the months leading up to his death, and he told me his complete life story in incredible depth. After he passed away suddenly 12 days after we finished recording, I interviewed more than 40 people whose lives he touched and used snippets of those interviews as you've probably seen in the main series. These bonus episodes are those interviews in full for those of you who want all of the details. And this week we've got a double whammy. We've got a second interview with Paul and Shaun's mum Linda, as well as Paul's oldest friend Carl Williams, who sat next to him at primary school and tells us all about the hijinks of those formative years. Get your tissues ready and be prepared for lots of laughs in this one as usual.
I can turn the heating up if you are.
No, I'm cold here. Not you
I'm
there.
just going to do another little clap just to set the recording again.
Yeah.
And then I'm ready to go at this time, Ange.
Right, okay. What I'm going to do is I made a list of all the things he mentions that I thought, we could ask Linda about that. We could. So this isn't in any, this is just in order of what we talked about, and then we can just talk generally. But just so I don't forget these bits, let me just look at my little notes. The first thing, he talked about being born and that he was born at home. And and that both him and Shaun were born at home. And I was like, that must have been really unusual for the 60s. And I asked you about it. Explain why you had home birth.
Well, in those days, they didn't let fathers at the birth. And Derek wanted to be there with both of them. And I absolutely horrified my mother. No, I'm not having that, she said, unless you come to my house and have them. So we had our own house near Bolton. My mum lived in Little Houghton at the time before she moved here. And so nearly 3 weeks before they were both born, we went and stayed at my mother's so Derek could be at the birth of both of them. So then we moved back to our own house. And then Paul would be only 10 months old. He wasn't one when we bought our first house. And so we moved away again. And my mum moved around the corner from where I am now. And then we were always there.
So Paul was born in 1964. Shaun was born in 62, wasn't he?
Yes.
Right. So what kind of response did you get from the doctor when you said, I'm going to have them at home? Like, what did they say?
Very unusual to have your first baby at home. But he knew my mother, so he said, I know you'll be well looked after.
And what was Paul's birth like?
Funnily enough, that'll be Sandra. Come and say hello to Angela. I'm in the front room. Say hello to Angela.
Or have you got to stay?
You can go in the other room if you want, but
If you want to sit in there, it's fine. If you want to sit in here, then...
Do you want to sit in there or in here?
wherever you want, but you don't have to talk while you're in here till I finish with Angela.
That'd be hard. We're good sitting
Right, go in there.
Well, they've said you as well.
No, I'm being interviewed.
Finish with never a dull moment, Angela. I'll see you in a minute.
Right. Put the telly on if you want. What was his birth like? Well, he was 3 weeks late. Before Paul was born, 3 weeks before Paul was born, I fell off a bus and ended up at the hospital. And they said, you'll probably go into labour with him. I had a very badly bruised and swollen leg. And I didn't go into labour. It was 3 weeks later than the date they gave me. Paul was born. And believe it or not, the same leg that I'd bruised and was swollen, he had a nasty bruise on his leg and it was all swollen. And when he was a baby, he would never, ever go on a bus. We'd be up Rivington Pike at Derek's auntie's and Derek would have to get off the bus and walk home with him because he just would not go on buses. Later on in life, as he grew older, he was still the same. He would not go on a bus. If his car was off the road, it would have to be a taxi. So, like, he was sort of very laid back, always has been very laid back and very quiet, so that he was so quiet, he'd be the instigator of things. He never got into trouble, others got into trouble, but he could be the instigator.
And as the mother, you knew what was going on behind the scenes.
Oh, yes, definitely, definitely.
He talked about the disaster of the chip shop.
Don't mention the chip shop. They thought, Derek decided he wanted his own business, so we bought a chip shop. And the boys loved it, with no profit because of them drinking all the little drinks that we sold and what have you. But do you want to know what happened? The first day in, Derek pulled the cash drawer out and broke his foot. It fell out. Then, after that, the first day in, the woman gave us a number to phone if anything went wrong with the fridge. The fridge didn't work and we lost all the fish and everything. I phoned this number. The man had been dead 5 years that serviced it. Then, after that, he'd not shut the door properly on the potato machine that peeled the potatoes, and the door flew open. There was a big stone in that looked like a potato and hit Derek in the eye, and he had a big black eye and a big bruise. Then to cap it all, we lived at the back of the shop. He was closing the window one day, and two boys playing football in the street, cracked the ball on the window and it shattered. Derek went like that, so all these little slithers of glass were spurting blood out of his head. The boy's father had seen it, came running in at the back door, took one look at Derek and collapsed on my floor, so he fainted. After that, I hated it. They didn't like it, because we'd always gone skating, we'd took them out, we'd done this, we'd no time. So we stuck it the 12-month and that was it.
Did he not also get stung by a bee or a wasp or something?
That's right. Oh, I'd forgotten about that. All the years we'd had that great big garden, and he'd gone to get more fish, and a bee had come in the kitchen window. A wasp came in the kitchen window, and he batted it like that. And the next, he's like, frothing at the mouth and gone all rigid. And I said to him, we are busy. Will you stop acting the goat and be sensible? And Kathleen, the girl who worked for us, said, Linda, there's something seriously wrong with him. And he'd gone into anaphylactic shock. So I phoned the doctor, and he was on a call in the next street. And the doctor came and gave him an injection. And he said if he hadn't had the injection, he would have died. So that was the last straw. The boys cheered. Paul couldn't wait to get out of the shop, but they would miss the chips.
Yeah.
Free drink.
Talk to me about Derek's act, about his thing he did with Barry.
Well, but it was before that. They were in a folk band. And it was that really was one of the reasons Paul decided he wanted to be in a band. They had a session on the Radio Piccadilly. So Paul went to carry the stuff and help him set up and what have you. And on the way back, he said, Dad, I think I want to join a band. He said, I think me and our kid will start a band, because if that's what it's like, I liked it.
And how old was he at this point?
He'd left school. So he had left school because for his birthday, he wanted, he didn't want a party. He wanted a bass amp and a bass. And we paid for lessons, and after a few lessons of this man coming to the house, he said, no, that's boring, I want to do my own stuff. So we got teaching tapes, and he said, I don't want the man to come anymore, I can make my own music up. And that's how he got into playing the bass. And then Gary, at the time, Shaun was with Denise, and they said, right, we want a drummer. And Denise's sister said, oh, there's a lad in my class just started playing the drums. He's only 16. We'll get him to come. And then the other lad, Derek knew Mark Day. He'd only ever played in his bedroom before, but Derek said he doesn't realise what a good guitarist he is. And then PD said, I want to be in the band, I'll be the singer. No, you can't be the singer, Paul. Shaun's the singer. I'll play the bass. No, Paul's the bass player. I'll be the drummer. No, Gary's the drummer. Well, what can I do? I'll play the keyboards. Oh, can you play the keyboards? No, but you can teach me. So he used to come. I was the one who read music. Derek was the one who was the inventive type. So we used to come and show him notes, and Derek could show him chords, and that's how Paul Davis came to play the keyboards in the early days. Oh, and Denise said, right, we'll get Shaun a microphone. Now, Shaun had always written, and he'll go mad at me for quoting this, I wished I'd never thrown all the poetry. It was only when we came to move that I got rid of it. He used to write the most fantastic stories and the most fantastic poetry when he was at school, because I had a call off a teacher one day wanting to know which book he'd copied it from, and I said, no, he's not copied it from any book. So that is how Shaun became the writer. Then the boys, the rest of the band, wrote. Paul and Gary wrote the music, and Mark Day as well. Started doing the music, and it just went on from there.
How did you feel as a mother of these two boys that were, like, it happened really quickly? It happened fairly quickly, the success. How did it make you feel?
I was quite very happy for them, but it didn't make any difference to me. That's what people couldn't understand. Oh, they used to say, but you're just ordinary. But of course I'm just ordinary. Why should that make me any different to who I am? Yeah, I was very pleased. And they wouldn't let me go to the concerts at first. So Derek sneaked me in to the Free Trade Hall, and I was sat in the back, and Shaun mouthed, I love you, ma'am. And he didn't know I was sat at the back, actually, in the Free Trade Hall. So that was the very first gig I actually went to, and they didn't know I was there.
Did they not allow you to go there? Why did...
I don't know. No, they didn't want to perform in front of me. No, they just didn't want me to go. Then they're making the excuse, oh, the lights, it'd send me dizzy, and all kinds of excuses.
That's a good excuse.
Yeah, they just didn't want me to go. And then one day they said, right, you can come now to the next one. And that was GMEX. And that was the night the stage nearly collapsed and I was on it.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was it. That was the first night. I think they did 2 nights at GMEX. Mm.
Paul mentioned a couple of times that he felt very guilty that you never got your fitted wardrobes.
That was a sore point. I always wanted fitted wardrobes. And every time we'd save the money up for fitted wardrobes, Derek would buy some other equipment for them. And he used to say to me, you'll have a fitted wardrobe factory one day when they make it big. And I had to wait till 4 years ago when I moved here to get me fitted wardrobes, and they were already in the bungalow. But I got them eventually, but then fitted wardrobes have gone out of fashion, haven't they? They're nearly all back to freestanding ones, but I got them in the end. Every time. Oh no, we just need bass bins. Oh no, we just need new mics. So that's why I never got my fitted wardrobes.
Tell me a bit more about Derek's act with Barry.
The first time I met Derek, I'd gone to a place in Farnworth called the Monarco, and it was before the acts came on. They used to have acts of the day on, and it was a dance place. And there I saw this blonde curly-haired lad being Jerry Lee Lewis on the piano. And my friend said to me, oh, he's all right. And I said, wouldn't be seen dead with him. He's nothing but a show-off. And it was a long time, quite a couple of years, about a year after. That's when I met him again. But he'd been in a band at school. And then, after we left the shop, he'd met Barry, and Barry had always played the guitar, and Derek was sort of a multi-instrumentalist. He could listen to something and recreate it, reproduce it. And that's when he got together with Barry as the folk group, and then they got to be entertainers. Then Derek went with another group called the Gobbiners, and then him and Barry got back together again, and instead of being a band, they were a duo that did sort of bits of comedy and sang a few songs, and then at the end they did a dance spot, and they played holiday camps locally and hotels in Blackpool and working men's clubs and things like that.
We are Derek and Barry Harry. I'm Derek. This is Barry, my non-identical twin brother. He likes it down here because he's actually hoping. There was that verse in the paper that he used to go out with a girl from British Leyland, and he was hoping she'd see the adverts and come down because she was his first true sweetheart. Anybody who works at Leyland, they may know a girl called Agnes Figgins. Yeah, one or two do actually. The fastest thing on two legs, Agnes. I've seen the time when she's tripped Barry up, and before he's hit the floor, she'd been underneath him. Sebastian Coe was not in it. Right. I say I was in his sex aid shop, but I wasn't buying anything. I'm not that way inclined. I was just looking round. I like to go in and spot the weirdos. You can see a long black Mac, there's this bloke there, long black Mac, almost to the floor, going up and down the alleyways, till eventually he gets to the counter where Barry is, and he says, have anything long, white and waxy? Barry said, aye. He said, well, you better light it, I've come to cut your electric off.
When we changed the car, we had to take a double bass with us to make sure it fit in the car before we bought a car. Then he got rid of the double bass and got an electric bass. Then we've had the accordion. Then we had the mandolin. Then we had the saxophone. So really, the lads have both seen him with all these instruments and what have you. And Shaun wanted to be a drummer. Oh my God. We bought him a set of drums. Crash, bang, wallop. I think the whole road. Then he decided he wasn't coordinated. So he decided, no, he wouldn't be a drummer anymore. He'd just be a singer and a writer. But Paul suddenly, because Phil Lynott was Paul's hero, always has been, he wanted to play the bass like Phil Lynott. And that's how he got to playing the bass.
Tell me about when Paul left home and why.
His girlfriend at the time, his first real girlfriend, the girls used to flock after Paul. And his first real girlfriend, Stephanie, she was as gorgeous as he was. But Stephanie was very animal orientated. And what I found out since, there used to be a programme on the telly when they were kids about a zoo, and I've forgotten the man's name that did this zoo thing, and her mum was his assistant and Stephanie had a horse, and Stephanie had tropical lizards and this, that and the other. They had lots of animals, and Paul decided he wanted a tropical lizard, and Derek said, no way. If you think we're keeping that lamp on and heating the thing up all the time, and what'll happen, your mother will end up looking after it, or I will. You are not having a tropical lizard. Right, I'm leaving home. So he gathered his washing off the maiden, the wet washing that was drying, got a little backpack, and Shaun came in and he said, I've just seen Paul with a suitcase on his back. Where's he going, peddling like that? Oh, he'd got a little moped by then. Oh, he's left home. He's gone to Nana's because he can't have a tropical lizard. Oh, anyway, it got to tea time and he came sneaking in. And I said, oh, you're back then? My mum said, she came home from work and she found all his washing on the fireplace all drying off in front of her fire. Oh, he said, I've just brought me washing to dry. And it got to tea time and she said, well, I'll get the tea ready now. And they were only having chips and egg. So he said, no, I'm not staying for tea, Nana. My mum's expecting me. So he came in. And I said, what are you doing here? He said, oh, I thought I might as well come home. He said, because we're having chicken and they're only having chips and eggs, so I've come home for my chicken dinner. And the other time was, in the house that we lived in then, it had warm air, central heating. And there was like ducts in the wall with vents. And the two of them, whenever they didn't want me and Derek to listen to what they were saying, they'd give each other the nod and go upstairs. But what they didn't realise, when they were talking, it acted as a tannoy, and we could hear it coming out of the heating vents, every word that they said. Well, this particular day, Paul came in with something under his arm, and Shaun said, what's he got? I said, I don't know. Anyway, we soon found out. It bought, because in his bedroom, Derek had built this unit for him, and he had his hi-fi and his stereo and his speakers and his woofers and tweeters or whatever you called them, all set up. So this particular day had not been upstairs long when we heard this music. And we heard, "A child is born." And it was Johnny Mathis. He'd bought the record because he liked him, but he didn't want us to laugh at him. And he was singing along with Johnny Mathis. But what he didn't realise, it was booming out of the central heating system. So we all had a laugh about that.
Okay, tell me about family holidays in Cornwall.
It was the year we came out of the shop and we weren't going away. And Derek on the last minute said, they've always had a holiday. We'll drive down there and see if we can find something. And we found this little caravan park. And we got there and he said, if we don't like it, we'll just come straight back. But it was an absolutely fabulous holiday. And we always went to Perranporth in Cornwall. And then as they grew up, they brought the girlfriends along with them.
He talks about getting into trouble, not into trouble, but doing things that he shouldn't perhaps have been doing, like going to the pub and stuff when he was on holiday, when he was younger. Did you know about any of that?
No, well, it was a pub garden in the gardens. And him and Dave used to sneak a little shandy, I think. Well, probably get somebody to go and get it then.
And so would you just turn a blind eye and pretend that you didn't know?
Well, I didn't know, did I? Probably that's why they were always sucking peppermints.
You said that you always had a really good relationship, like as parents, like there was never any bother between the two of you. You must have been quite forward-thinking parents, really, I think.
I suppose we were, really. You know, we always encouraged them to do what they wanted to do. And, I mean, there was times when I didn't agree with what Derek said. There was times when he didn't agree with what I said. But we never we always backed each other up. They never came and said, can I have, because my dad said I can't. And I used to say, if your dad said you can't, you can't. And if they went to him, he'd say the same.
Yeah. But do you think that you were quite liberal parents in
Yes,
for the day?
Yes, we were. We were.
Do you remember when they first told you that they were starting a band? Can you remember when you first heard about that?
Yeah, it was after the Paul had come back from the Piccadilly sessions. And then, of course, they had a debate with Shaun. Yeah, all right, we'll start a band. And it materialised from there.
And what did you think when he said that? Did you think it would go as far as it did? What did you think?
Never. I know Derek encouraged them, and we've still got the recording of the bungalow tapes. Where I'm living now, Mum lived round the corner in a bungalow, and Derek had hired a machine to record a recording machine, and she'd had a dormer put upstairs, and one was in the bathroom. Somebody was upstairs, and he had them all over, and he recorded them. I've still got all the rejection letters. I've kept them all from Steve and Edney, from London Records, and all the. We're looking, who you like, you need to get an image, and blah, blah, blah. So I've still got a box with all these rejection. If in future you do any more pop, send us future stuff and we'll may be interested. Yeah, I've still kept all the rejection letters.
Yeah, oh, that's funny. What about the music that they listen to? Again, he said that you were very influential in terms of what music you and Derek were listening to as they were growing up. Talk about what the music that you were into when they were like teenagers.
Well, we liked Jerry Lee Lewis, because Derek could play the piano like Jerry Lee Lewis. I was a big Elvis fan, but also Derek played in folk bands. And we had a lot of folk records, so they were quite. I mean, we used to take them to folk festivals with us when we went through that phase of going to folk festivals. They always came to the Fylde Folk Festival with us, and we all used to sleep in the back of our minivan.
Really?
All four of us, yeah, in the back of the minivan.
Wow. And what about, did Derek not go through a teddy boy phase?
Oh, when I first went out with him, oh my God, my mother said, oh, he's very nice, but you can do better than that. Why doesn't he get a nice haircut? Why doesn't he wear a nice suit? And I said, well, he is a nice boy, Mum, he's just different. And I always said I wanted somebody different. I didn't want the run of the mill. And my goodness, did I get somebody different and children that were different.
So talk to me about Shaun and Paul when they were kids, like what the difference was between the two of them, how they were different personalities.
Shaun was very, very active, never shut up. Shaun walked at 11-month-old. Shaun was talking at 10-month-old. Shaun had loads of teeth. Paul, I was worried sick over, because he was very quiet, very happy-go-lucky, and I thought there was something wrong with him because he couldn't talk. He didn't walk till he was 18 months old, and I had him at the doctor's, and the doctor said there's nothing wrong with him, he's lazy. He can walk when he wants to, and there's nothing wrong with his tongue or anything. But he's always been the same. Then one day we were going out for a walk, passing a field with a horse in, and right out of the blue he said, look at that horse over there. And he spoke in a full sentence. And he grew up like that. He never said very much unless it was important, so what he thought was important. And he still was very, very quiet, always very, very quiet. But there again, my friend Veronica used to say, he's so quiet, your Paul, he gets everybody else into trouble and he can be the instigator. Tittle, tittle, laugh, laugh, you know, but others got into trouble.
Yeah.
And then he'd disappear. And he's always been one for sleeping. He'd disappear. I'd find him in the bungalow. My dad was a night worker. He'd be at my mum's. Where's Paul? He'd got in bed with my dad and be fast asleep. He's always liked his bed. And he'd always liked a lot of sleep. And he was always a very, very quiet child. Whereas Shaun, you could hear him a mile off. They were as different as chalk and cheese, but they were very, very close when they were little. They were very, very close. In fact, when I first the year I took Paul to school with me, Shaun was starting school, and it got to dinner time, and I said, right, I've got to go in the staff room now, but will you go outside and play with the other children? No, we'll wait at the door for you. And there was square tiles on the floor, and we stood holding hands in these square tiles. And I said, well, I'm going in the staff room to have my lunch. We'll wait here. And they never budged. They were still stood on the same tiles holding hands 3/4 of an hour later when I got back.
We'll be back with Linda shortly, but first, here's a friend that has known Paul since those very early primary school days.
I'm Carl Williams. I grew up with Paul Ryder. From the age of 5, we started infant school, grew up, went through the high school together, sat next to each other in the classroom all the way through school. Met him when he started in the band again after a few years break, and then stayed in touch ever since. I always remember Paul said to me, we'll be all right because we've got a cousin there called Chris Carroll. He'll look after us. So if we, you know, like you always got bullied when he was like the new starters. So I felt safe with Paul because his cousin was there. That was when we first sort of got friends. And then as we moved to the senior school, and we sat next to each other at the front of the class because the teacher probably wanted to keep an eye on us because we was always causing trouble. Well, he was a good-looking kid, you see. So I never had a girlfriend at school. But Paul had a girlfriend all the time. All the girls was after him, so I used to go to their houses with him, you know, as a mate, just to like, and so yeah, he always had the girls after him. Always had a girlfriend. You know, he was like, he had the olive skin, he was a good-looking one, you see. He always had a little chuckle, you know, his laugh, it was infectious, that. He was always happy, you know, yeah. He loved playing rugby as well at school. We was in the rugby team together as well. That was good, yeah. Unless it was cold, we didn't like playing in the cold. We played a team once in, I think it was in the 3rd year, at Beulah Hill it was, the team we played, I'll never forget it. And we was all on the pitch, and the lads from Salford, they was like twice as big as us. And it was freezing cold, it was hailstoning and windy, and we couldn't even feel our fingers, and they was absolutely battering us. And one by one, we just run off the pitch. We didn't even finish the game. We was like getting battered, you know, so I was like, oh, I can't, I'm going home, you know, we was all crying. Yeah, so we didn't win anything as a rugby team, but he did enjoy that sport. When the dinner ladies had made they used to prepare the meals, for the day after. So like they do the sweets. So if there was like a blancmange or anything, a Manchester tart, once they'd gone home, we used to sneak in and eat the Manchester tart. We used to have another friend who was close with Paul called Chris Whittle. And his garden shed, we used to live in it. We'd sleep there overnight. We had 4 bunk beds. We used to live on beef tomato pot noodles. And we'd get up to mischief. I don't know if I could tell you some of the stuff we used to get up to, but there used to be, the Legion was close to us, Penderbury Legion. And on a Thursday, I think it was Thursday, Friday, they used to have these wagons used to park up with Carlsberg beer in them. So the drivers used to go in the Legion for a drink and they used to sleep in the cab. But they used to have the curtain shut, so we'd go and lift it open and then pinch all the cases of beer. And we'd then take them to Chris's garage, which weren't far away, stack them all up, and then we'd sell them at school or things that, just going to the school disco, everyone going over the field, charging them a couple of quid and everyone going drunk into the school disco. So, but yeah, they was the sort of things we got, just like petty things, like that.
So Linda, you didn't know about this, did you?
Definitely not. I knew about Chris Whittle's garage because we're going camping.
We're going camping, yeah.
No proper camping gear. It's all right, we're camping in Chris Whittle's
Yeah.
garage.
And he had electricity in it and everything. Yeah. We had some great times. That was when you had proper summers, But yeah, that was the sort of things we got up to, yeah. He was always into Thin Lizzy. There was a couple of lads at school. He was into Thin Lizzy and that sort of music. And they used to go to the Apollo, to the concerts. I couldn't afford to go, but they'd go and see Thin Lizzy and bands like that. We tried to get a band going at school, but Paul didn't sort of get involved in that because he was a bit shy and, that sort of thing. He was always into the guitar, sort of heavy sort of music, which is, whereas me, I was on into the Nolans and the Dooleys or something like that. I was always into the pop music. We left school and I'll never forget, we was in the Duke of Wellington. They used to have a night in there, Sweeney was on and all that. And Paul come in, and I think we just left school. So I'd not seen him for a year because he was working. And he come to me, he went, I said, I've not seen you for ages, Paul. He went, yeah, he said, we've got a band. I'm like, what, a band? He went, yeah, he says, we're on top of Pops in a few weeks. I'm like, can't believe this. I went home and told my mum, I said, Paul's in it. They've got a band. He said it was going to be on top of the Pops, and God, it was like I couldn't wait to tell everybody. It was like hallelujah. It was like, wow, it was amazing. So proud, Did you see Happy Mondays? That's my best mate, like Paul. He's like, I was just so pleased, and happy for him and proud, like, yeah, it was just brilliant. Yeah, yeah.
And you're very close to Paul's mum now, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm a fourth son. But yeah, I'll always look after him because, like you say, they're a lovely family, And Linda's, she's like, I don't know where she gets it from. It must run in the family somewhere because she's unbelievable. One of the best memories I have of the family is when they lived in Little Alton. They took me to a bonfire and I stayed at their house. Remember that, Linda?
The last drop.
The last drop. And, where the memory stays with you because from my growing up, we had nothing. 5 of us used to sleep in the same bed. And you'd wake up wet through in the morning because somebody had peed the bed. So it was like, that's how I grew up. And to go to their house, even though they didn't have a lot, it was amazing, and I could sleep in the bed. And they took me to the bonfire. And I can still smell they bought me a hot dog. I'd never had one before. And I'm like, and I can still smell it, I always think of that. It's funny, isn't it, something stays with you.
Carl too ended up rubbing shoulders with the music business when he became an Elvis impersonator.
I started doing an Elvis tribute many years ago. And I've just loved singing. I've always sort of sang and I recorded a song in some studios as well, and I remember playing it for Paul in the car, and he kept saying, play it again, that. It was brilliant, you know, so he enjoyed me singing as well. Yeah, so I just get up wherever there's a mic. I'm doing a charity gig on this Friday, and I was nearly going to go and buy the suit, because I used to have it, but I gave it away. Yeah, so I might...
Why did you give it away?
Well, I did a charity. Somebody asked me to do a charity for this lad who was a Down syndrome. I didn't know it. He just said his dad's loaded. Can you come and do an Elvis? He's Elvis mad. So when I got to the restaurant, it was he was 40 and he was Down syndrome, and all his friends, you know, there was all, and I just love them, and they was really into it. So when I'd finished, I said, give me £120. I gave a guy £20 to do it, and I gave the other to charity. But because I took that money, I felt guilty. So I thought, that's it now. This is my time to finish doing it. And I gave all my stuff to the lad. I sent it to him. Yeah, gave him everything. The wig, the suit, everything, yeah. I don't even know if he's still living now, but I did keep in touch with him because he was like overwhelmed, you know. They sent me a picture of him in the suit. Yeah, it was, yeah. I thought, I can't set money, but his dad was like, didn't matter. He just wanted to make his night happy, you know. But yeah, so I gave it all away. So I'll have to go and get it again. There was a newspaper cutting, and Paul said he took it to France and put it on the wall in the kitchen or something. Elvis rocks this something or whatever. I did a 12-hour sing-a-thon for Francis House, a charity in Manchester.
Do you remember the first time that you saw him playing live?
Yeah, that was in the G-Mex. We picked the tickets up from the hotel. He said, I'll leave them behind the desk. So I got the tickets, and then we went in. And Mick Hucknall was sat on a table in the VIP area, whatever, at the back. And he come in, Paul, and he said, after we'd seen him, and he said, come to the after party, you know, like wherever he was having it. And I said, I've got to be up at 5. I'm working in the morning. He went, he said, I'll pay you your wages. He said, come with us, you know, but it was a bit too late. But yeah, and after that, like I say, it was just brilliant, great, you know, what they'd done after that. It was just, like I say, I'm just so proud. I can't say, I'm just getting a bit, yeah, it was just great.
Yeah.
You just keep thinking he'll come in the door, you know, and ask me, will I get him some cigs?
And now we're going back to Linda, who's talking about the relationship between Paul and Shaun.
They always went out together when they were younger.
Yeah.
I think the trouble started when they first started getting girlfriends.
Right.
After Stephanie and Denise, and they got other girlfriends, they never liked each other's girlfriends. I think that was part of the trouble.
So Derek worked with them for many years from the beginning.
He'd come home and he'd say, wake me up, and say, can you wake me up in half an hour? I've got to go to work. He drove them all over the place. He did the sound. He did everything for them.
And how did that go down with them, do you think? Do you think they found it difficult because their dad was working?
Shaun did. But the others thought it was brilliant. But I don't think Shaun ever liked his dad being there all the time, especially as he got more.
But Derek enjoyed himself.
Oh, he did. I mean, he wanted them to have the opportunity that he never got. You know, he wanted to give them the opportunity and make sure that they got it. And he tried to help them get it in any way that he could. I don't know whether Shaun resented it as time went on, but I do know Shaun misses his dad now and realises just how much his dad did for them.
Well, I mean, without Derek, none of it would have happened, would it, really?
Oh, it wouldn't, no.
Yeah.
No.
Talk to me about the days when Paul and Shaun were sharing a flat and they'd come home with the washing.
They'd do the shopping out of my cupboard and come home with the washing for me to do. But the funny thing was, the first time they ever went to America, Shaun came in with his bag of washing. He'd just bought these jeans and he wanted them washing first. Well, they both had these jeans that was in fashion there. And they were all ripped. And they'd gone, and I thought, oh my goodness, they can't go to America with the holes in the jeans. And I spent hours stitching all these rips up. And they came in, what have you done to our jeans? And you can't go to America with them. We've bought them like that. And after they'd bought these ripped jeans, and I thought they needed sewing because they couldn't take holy jeans to America with them.
That's all we've got for you this week. Please come back again next week, same time, same place, for the premiere of next week's episode, which, oh my goodness, I promise you is going to be a cracker. We're playing out this week with the track Welcome from Paul Ryder's Big Arm album Radiator, which, as you all know, is out now. Please become a patron of the show and get first dibs on being in our special Zoom calls with some of our guests, and support the show by going to patreon.com/The Paul Ryder Tapes. The website is paulryder.tv with links to the socials. And we also have a WhatsApp group if anybody wants to join that for a bit of a chat. Have a fantastic week. Big thanks to the amazing, the lovely Linda Ryder and the fantastic, really lovely Carl Williams. And lots of love and respect as usual to the man himself, the late, great Paul Anthony Big Arm Ryder. Lots of love to you all.
Glistening Productions.